Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to What She Said. Today was, I guess, day 2 of Colorado's spring ball practice. And there's a lot to unpack in the content that's readily available. And I started with this photo of Coach Prime in his all-in-one unit, jumpsuit, etc. That means it's time to work. Got his little, I don't ever know what this is. I'm thinking these are plays attached to his person. I'm not really sure. But what I do know is whenever we see this all-in-one, this jumpsuit, this unit, it's time to work. And it's exciting. It's really exciting because that means we're getting back to it. So you see, I got on my Buffs jersey, right? Because it's about that time. And yeah, I'm still rocking number 21, right? So we'll give everybody a chance to join us. Let's see who's in here. Hey, Gracie, how you doing? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Put on a little bit of music while we wait for a few people to join. All right, so we're back in action. And I got some good takeaways from the today's meeting. Coaches were called up to the front. 2 new people were interviewed. Let's see. And I noticed somebody mentioned the position, the role they're in, and it seems different from what they had before. So we're going to talk about that. There was a key takeaway, in my opinion, from Coach Prime calling up the players by their position group and the leaders that came to represent that position and whatnot. So y'all get ready. That's what we're talking about today. Ms. Mel, welcome, welcome, welcome. All right. We're going to give it another minute and we'll be good to go. I hope everybody had a good day. Feel free to drop an emoji. Let me know how you're feeling. Drop a smiley face if you're having a good day. If you need a hug, I can send a virtual hug. Hey fam, hey Crowley, what's up, what's up, what's up? So day 2, as y'all can see, Coach Prime has on his jumpsuit. Now, part of Coach Prime's conversation with the team today, he brought up Coach Pat Schumer and Coach Doc Livingston. And he basically said, you know, these 2 have been head coaches. They'll likely be head coaches again. So get up here, meaning to Coach Schumer and Coach Livingston, and show us what it's going to be as head coaches. So basically, he turned the platform over to them as head coaches. And when he was talking to Doc Livingston, he said, you interviewed for quite a few head coaching jobs, right? And I checked the comments because I was in the comments. And somebody made reference to that. They said, did y'all notice that Coach Prime was basically like, putting it out there that Doc Livingston is going to be head coach next. And he also said something to the tune of, I should have put on the closed captioning, something to the tune of, and we're going to make that happen by the end of the year, the end of the season. Am I the only person who heard it? Did anybody else hear that? Let me know if anybody else heard it, or if you want to watch the video right now, you can go watch it. It's very early in the video from Well Off Media. You know, I can't show the whole video. So when he said that, I did hear him say it. I wasn't the only person who heard him say it. And I know if you probably go back to the comments now, there are other people talking about it. And there's 2 ways you can look at that. Immediately when I heard it, the way he said it, it was almost as if he was letting Doc know that he is aware that he's been interviewing for several head coaching positions. He didn't say, you just inked a long-term deal with Colorado for the most money in history for this position. He said, you've been interviewing for several head coaching jobs, right? Well, come on. And I was like, okay. So that's one way to look at it. As if Coach Prime was letting him know and everybody else know, I know what's going on. Okay. But when he ended, he said, we're going to make sure that happens by the end of the season. I know that's what I heard. Somebody feel free to go look at it. Tell me if that's what you heard. Now, another way you could look at it, he said Pat Schumer has been head coach a couple of times. and I'm sure he'll be a head coach again. That's the way he said it when it came to Pat Shermer. Like, he's sure. He don't know. He's sure of it. He didn't say anything about making it happen by the end of the season. That's what he said. I think the person in the comments that immediately called it thought that Coach Prime was saying he knows that Livingston is going to replace him at the end of the season. I'm like, that's not what I got. See, tone and the way you say something, the tone you use, it was almost like it was a surprise. And when he said it, he said at the end of we're going to make sure it happened at the end of the season. Go let me know what y'all think. But that came from the video today. And Coach Prime knows full well Bucky is recording because he actually said yesterday, we're going to make sure Bucky has a seat always. And I thought he said in the middle. So he know Bucky was recording. So y'all watch it and let me know what you think. But I think that was interesting. I didn't get the same impression somebody else got, thinking Coach Prime getting ready to bounce. That's not what I got. But then I thought about it. Coach Prime, we hadn't heard anything about his contract, right? So maybe that person is right. Maybe that person is essentially saying, we're going to make sure by the end of the season, you can take over my job. But when he said, what I heard was because he said, you interviewed for several head coaching jobs. See, that's the part that seemed like, oh, I just found out about this. But I'm letting you know I know too. And we're going to make sure it happens by the end of the year because I'm going to get you out of here. But he just signed a contract with Colorado, so I don't know. So somebody let me know what y'all think. Let me know what you think. Hey, Kiel. So, and then I heard Coach Prime, singing praises of, and almost seemingly being giddy that, is it Marshall Faulk, the running back coach, who's standing right here? He's so happy to have him on the staff. He almost can't believe it himself. So, that was really good. Now, then we move on to this image right here. Okay. So this was my favorite part of the meeting. This is where Coach Prime wanted everybody to represent one representative from each position group. So offense, you got the receivers, the quarterbacks. Ryan Staub came up. I thought that was interesting. Draylon Miller. Then on defense, I thought I saw DJ McKinney on the end, and then some other people I don't know because it's a lot of new people on defense. And of course, Jordan Seaton, as you can see right here. And for the running backs, that is Agustave, right? So this was good. And I was actually at home when I saw it, and I said to somebody, I said, which one made you believe what he was saying? He said the guy on defense with the locks, the big guy. I said, yes, he sold it. Everybody else was just like mechanically, robotically talking, right? Ryan Staub had a little but the guy on defense, the one that we need to be like that, is like that. I don't know his name, but if you go look at the video, you're going to know exactly who I'm talking about. He has locks. And he was like, yo, we getting ready to do this. I was like, yeah, okay. Then he was serious. You could see it. And I think I remember when Coach Prime called them up the very, very first time when they all got on campus. I remember him. I feel like he's from Mississippi or Memphis, but I'm going to look into it when I go back, and maybe we could talk about it tomorrow. So I feel like that was a good exercise to have everybody come up with one person representing the position group. Now, the safeties were represented by Ben. And it seems that Ben is the new Headache Gang CEO. And Ben got a lot of love from Coach Prime today, when they were outside calling him to the middle, basically saying there's one guy that works his butt off consistently without fail. And he was talking about Ben. And Ben, he said, say what you say to your guys and do what you do. So Ben is that guy, like, how we used to say hype man? So he kind of like the hype man now. He's the one that gets them riled up, and then he called out another guy. I didn't catch who it was. And then he started the clapping, and basically, Ben was like, hey, we need to get the energy up in here. Sadly, it's lacking. So Ben is that guy. Ben is that guy that Coach Prime can go to because he believes that he's going to get it done. So shout out to Ben Finesse, leading the way will likely be playing a lot in terms of safety. And he's that guy that brings that energy, and he doesn't just take it on and with his own energy. He called somebody else into it. I felt like he said Justin, but I don't know who it was. And I said, you know what? Okay, I like this. So they were hyped. They're doing their little chant in their song. So it was really good. Let me know if y'all saw it. But yes, I'm going to go ahead and officially crown Ben Finesseth as new Headache Gang CEO. And I told y'all a couple of weeks ago, I said people are saying that Ben said it himself, that he's going to become the new pain in the butt to Coach Prime. He's going to become the new Shiloh. But Coach Prime showed him mad love. Said he's always ready, always working hard, first in, last out, and he had him to lead today. So I hope the rest of the guys can kind of learn from that. I don't know who the safeties are, but I know Ben has just stepped up and been, proclaimed one of the leaders. So I think that that's really good. What happened? He said what? Oh, Miss Mel said, what's that, Miss Mel? It said, oh, Coach Prime said he's still negotiating. Oh, maybe that's why the person in the comments thought that Coach Prime was saying to Coach Livingston, we going to make it happen by the end of the season that you a head coach. So that person was right, and I may have been possibly wrong. But the way he said it, you've interviewed for several head coaching jobs. I kind of almost thought he was like, and I know you interviewed for my job too. So maybe that's where that came from. But if you go back and watch it, you'll hear it. I didn't know Coach Prominent was still negotiating. Honestly, I thought he was just kind of waiting for an opportune time to make the announcement after the spring game, somewhere before the draft or after the draft, not making everything about himself. Because, we got players getting ready to be drafted, yada, yada, yada. So I don't know. Maybe there is something there. And like I said, there's somebody else in positions today. Y'all know who Mama T is, Miss Tysha, right? The lady that plans everything, that does everything for football operations. Well, today, Coach Prime had women to come up that he has on the staff in various positions to introduce themselves. And there was the lady that introduced herself first. She said her name. I forgot what it was. I didn't really catch it. But her title stuck out. It said Director of our Football Operations. And I was like, oh, okay. I'm thinking that's Mama T, right? Then Mama T introduces herself. And she says, well, I just work in operations. I do whatever the GM wants me to do or somebody else wants me to do. I'm like, okay, have there been a shift? And then it went on to somebody else. And then there was another young lady, two other young ladies who basically had on-the-spot interviews. Apparently, Coach Prime has talked to two women about joining the strength and conditioning staff. And I knew, remember we talked about it, I knew that there was a lady on the strength and conditioning team. She used to have the braids, the blonde braids all the time. I don't know if she's still there or not. So it seems like it might be some changing going on, or these are just additions. But normally when people leave, they get elevated. So maybe he had to replace them. I don't know if anybody's being replaced or these are additions. If you know, let me know. So both of the women basically had to call off their resume when Coach Prime said, why should I hire you? And I like both of them. And he actually said, you never know. Maybe if we could, we might hire both of you. I thought they were both good. One has been in strength and conditioning for the NFL, college, etc. One is from Canada, came from a hockey household, came to the U.S., went to Texas A&M, learned all about, strength and conditioning and football there. So she said it. She said, I'm basically underdog here because the other girls had all the experience. So if the other lady's gone, I think it was a black lady with like braids, and I saw her just a couple of days ago on the field. If she's gone, I think he should hire both of them. So people have applauded Coach Prime for diversifying the staff, having women in key roles, right? So I do think he should hire both of them. I think, in my opinion, they both have something to add to the table. So congratulations to them. So, but yeah, so then they went outside, right? I'm gonna take a second and check the comments, but then they went outside, and then we're gonna switch to some conversation there. It said he said it, what? Let's see. Coach Prime said it on Uncle Neely's morning show. Oh, okay. Maybe that's why he said that. And maybe the person that made the comment that said he thought it was like we gonna make sure you the head coach and I'm out of here. That's the way somebody else took it. That makes sense. That's why context matters. Because without context, I thought he was telling Doc, since you've been interviewing for head coaching jobs at other places, we're going to make sure you're going to go get one of them. Because that's what he was given. But now with the context, it makes sense. I sure hate that. Anybody have any thoughts on the fact that Coach Prime is still negotiating his contract? Kiel, I know you're out there. Crowley, any thoughts? Thank you, Ms. Mells, for that context. Thank you so much. Gracie, I don't know if you out there. I know sometimes you watch, what is his name? I forget his name. The one that came from On 3. I forgot his Dukes with the Scoop. Have you heard anything? Him mention anything? I know they all well connected. And shout out to the pregame show. So Shannon Sharp, he has his show podcast with Ocho, Unc and Ocho. So the other night they were talking, a few days ago, they were talking about all of the hatred that Shedeur was getting and how Coach Warren Sapp basically said that for the last 48 hours, he'd been trying to find out who had made that statement at the time, what quarterback coach that was, because the person wasn't a decision maker. So the initial interview is Wednesdays with Warren Sapp with the pregame show. So Shannon Sharp used a snippet of the pregame show Wednesday with Warren so his audience could hear, how Warren Sapp was basically trying to figure out who's, trying to disparage Shedeur unjustly. So I was like, kudos. You never know. Maybe one day somebody can use the clip for my content and be like, hey, this is what's said. And instead of us saying it, we're going to show it. So that was giving credit to the owner. And I thought that was great. And that's also the pregame show, getting up and getting out, getting around their platform. Uncle Neely came from Jackson State with Coach Prime. So that's huge that Shannon Sharp would have his content on Shannon's platform. So shout out to the pregame show. All right. So let's see. Ms. Mills. Okay. All right. So moving on to our guys. All right. Oops. Where'd they go? All right. So maybe this is it. Hold on. All right. So moving on to our guys. I had video of Caden and Juju throwing to each other. So when I first saw the video, I was like, this is what I've been looking for. This is what I have been looking for. I've been trying to get to, I knew we would get to this point where we would see Caden and Juju kind of like throw into each other, right? Competing for QB1, they had interviews on DNVR Sports. So if you watch DNVR, go check it out. Juju was basically saying that, when it comes to the competition, he said, I've been, I guess overlooked basically for the most part, doubted. He said since he was 7 years old. So he's used to this. They were throwing to each other back and forth. And Juju was talking about how cold it was and basically reminiscent about Atlanta, how he said it's about 70 degrees here. And he wanted to put on a hoodie. So I guess it's still pretty cold there. I'm not sure. But they were outside today and, it was pretty good. So I was just happy to see the guys throwing the ball around to each other because, we'd seen Caden in one aspect, then we saw Juju in another aspect, then we saw them together at the school, but still separate. And this is where we see them throwing to each other. So I was pretty happy about this. It just means we're getting closer and closer to the competition that everybody is looking forward to. Kiel said, it's better for him to wait out the season and measure the performance of this team. He's always bringing revenue to that area. So he's a double asset. He'll get what he wants. Yeah. That's true, right? That's true. Now, remember, the same thing happened with Jackson State, right? And what did Coach Prime do when the opportunity came when his contract expired? He left. And why? Because they didn't show that they valued him. But they have shown that they value Doc Livingston, right? Am I right? Am I wrong? See, that's the kind of thing you have to watch out for because it's a little cutthroat. It is. Okay, so out of everybody on my staff, you want to, not Pat Schumer, you want to ingratiate, or you want to handsomely compensate Doc Livingston, and we still out here trying to work it out, if that's really the case. And I felt like when that came out and Coach Prime was still in limbo trying to figure it out, I felt like they already know that this is our next head coach. Because remember, this came on, Doc Livingston's contract came on the heels of what? Of the whole Coach Prime going to the NFL. Is he or isn't he? And it was used as leverage. I said that from the beginning. It was used as leverage. And I feel like what Colorado did, you got to remember, there's some regions that were very outspoken when Coach Prime came that they didn't like him. So I'm not surprised that this move took place, because they aren't in any position to rush to give Coach Prime what he wants. Because why? They already secured Doc Livingston. That's a little cutthroat. I want you to know. And if they are truly still negotiating, and Coach Prime gets to the point where it becomes more of an obligation, because I got Juju here, I brought Caden here, I brought these players here. NFL's already filled up with everybody. You know, they hired, all the teams have hired. Now we're moving personnel around. It might be where, you know what, that contract might not get signed at all. It might be, I'm gonna ride this one out. And he could do that. He can do that. And it wouldn't surprise me if the longer this goes on, that's what happens, because that's what has happened before. And I told y'all, I said it is very possible that after this whole is he or isn't he leaving, that they were like, we're going to make sure we're not in a position where we feel like we have to bow down to the leverage. That's my take. Let me know your thoughts. It said, I have heard on Dukes to School. Let's see. I've heard on Dukes to School. On Dukes to School that I've heard on Dukes to School refer to the situation. And he basically said that he was not worried about the situation. It was on the way to being resolved. I hope it gets resolved. I mean, yeah. I mean, I hope it gets resolved. Yeah, Coach Prime probably could be a good coach in NFL, but that's not the point right now. The point is, he's done so much for this university. He actually deserves the contract. I don't know how much money. I think we talked about what, $10 million. Did we say $90 million? We thought his contract should be. So basically, they would extend his current contract, etc. The point is, he did better than most. There are some of these guys, they take over these teams for 5 years. They get 5 years to turn it around, and nothing comes of it. Nothing comes of it. When by the 90th day, they'd already, his 3 months on campus, $90 million for their coffers. So for them to not, unless they're waiting for this final say-so on this NIL thing. Remember we talked about that? The deadline, January 1st, 31st, came and went without anybody talking about it. Maybe because they didn't want people to file a claim. That's typically how it works. And, it seems like maybe they're waiting for April 7th to see, okay, so we're going to have this revenue sharing, the $22 million. And let's say if Coach Prime has a clause, something to do with NIL, that could be the hiccup. The hiccup could be, I know I wanted more money for my coaches, and he got it, in my opinion. But out of all of the coaches, Doc Livingston did get paid handsomely. And I do think Pat Schumer should be paid too, because you can't win the game by itself. He did pretty good. But maybe his contract not up. I don't know. So I don't know. But it's kind of cutthroat the way it looks right now. It looks like they only value one member of the staff. And the timing was after the is he leaving, is he isn't. And it just looks like they don't want to be in a position where they have to give up something they don't want to give up. They're willing to walk away from it. That's what it looks like, but I could be wrong. And then again, it's new people look like they're being hired. I don't know if anybody knows what's going on with Mama T. Remember we saw her on the private plane with Coach Prime when he went to Aflac, and we were talking about that. I was like, I'm not used to her traveling with him. And we talked about also how Sam mentioned when they were in New Orleans for the Super Bowl. Somebody said, so you're going to get 2 bags because you're working for Shedeur also. And I said, there's no way that Sam can do Coach Prime and Shedeur. Because Shedeur be having a lot going on too. He has endorsements and things like that. So I was thinking of wondering if Mama T was accompanying Coach Prime because now she's getting ready to assist him, and then Sam shifts to Shedeur. And then Mama T, I thought she was the director of football operations, but now there's somebody else. And she said, I'm just the director. She said, I'm just here in the operations department doing whatever basically the GM wants me to do. That seems like a shift to me. So y'all let me know your thoughts about that. Coach Prime generates a lot of money. Yes, he does. He does. He really does. That's why I said, I hope that this is not a Jackson State 2.0. I hope this isn't last hour insufficient. Because see, listen, I want you to understand something with negotiations. The only reason why you drag your feet, I'm going to tell you why you drag your feet. Because 9 times out of 10, it's not the offer the other person wants. So you wait till the time it is optimal. There's no rush to give somebody something that you know that they aren't going to like. And the timing, if somebody is still hiring in the NFL, then, you know, I could basically lose him now. And then Doc would have to step up now, and that could affect a lot of things. So if it was something he wanted, he would already have it. Sarkisian already has his. Ohio State, what did they do? Instantly, Ryan Day, making him, if not the highest paid, the second highest paid. I think he might have been at 12 before. He might be at 13 or 14 now. So what I'm saying is all of the coaches that were valued are done, unless this is some type of marketing ploy here. But I'm telling you, it look a little cutthroat to me with Doc Livingston being paid that much money. Remember, Doc Livingston's contract, I think, is $1 million something, right? And I forget how long it's for. Coach Prime makes what, $5 million a year? So if he's at 5 and they double it to 10 and they drag it in feet. So there you go with that. That's where I am with that. So it seems a little cutthroaty to me. But you know, I don't know. That's just what I think. And speaking of cutthroat, I have no issue with competition at all. Like none. In fact, I believe I'm my own competition. But when it comes to having to compete against another person, I'm knowingly, I'm okay with that, right? So, you know, things are quieting down on the Shedeur front. The hatred's kind of, it's not as loud. It's still a little bit out there. There was one podcast basically saying that something's going to happen to the coach. The coach that hired Shedeur could get, that draft Shedeur could be risking his job or putting it on the line. And I'm like, see, that's the type of bullying. That's the type of dog whistling that comes out. And, you know, people say, what did we talk about last time? That the front office is the front office and the media usually don't have any impact. That's not exactly true. That's not exactly true. And you would think that they shouldn't, right? But that's the latest thing that I saw. And I was like, I didn't even click on it because I'd seen it before. And I know what they're getting at. And this is when I was telling y'all they're trying to, by any means necessary, get to somebody, you know, try to get him to go down in the draft. It didn't work with just the analysts. Then the whole quarterback thing, quarterback coach, that has backfired. So now, you know, we're trying to get to the coach who's doing the drafting along with the GM. And we know the GMs are instrumental, and we know the owners are instrumental. The owners are also instrumental. So it just kind of seems like, you know, the media is relentless in its assault on Shedeur. But now that it is free agency, you don't hear so much hatred or anything about Shedeur right now, which is, I think, is actually kind of good. Just give that a rest. Just give him some rest, because being beat on like that constantly is not healthy for the psyche. And sometimes you have to wonder if that's in fact the goal. Hey, 400 Circle Medium. So with that being the case, all right, y'all know it's free agency in the NFL, right? And we talked about some of the moves that were made. What's his name that went to the Seahawks? Y'all know who it is. Seahawks got their QB. Y'all know Geno Smith went to the Raiders. I think the Texans made a move with a lineman that left the Texans and went to the Commanders. Now, what was so interesting about that entire scenario is the Texans had one of the worst O-lines in the league, which is why C.J. Stroud, rookie sensation, had a sophomore slump because he was sacked 52 times. Who does that sound like? Right? And then the person that they deem to be the problem goes to where Jaden Daniels is. I'm not saying it is, it's just kind of weird. So we need to keep our eye on that. But today, the quarterback that was signed and taken off the veteran board is Daniel Jones. So y'all know Daniel Jones started with the Giants, and they let Saquon Barkley go before they let Daniel Jones go. Then they eventually let Daniel Jones go, and I think that was some kind of pressure. Then he goes to Minnesota to back up. I think it was Sam Darnold who just went to the Seahawks. Well, I don't know why he's not still there, because they need a quarterback, because they need somebody to back up who is presumably the starter in J.J. McCarthy, right? So Daniel Jones was in Minnesota and Sam Darnold left, and they need a veteran behind J.J. McCarthy because he's supposed to be the starter. Why did Daniel Jones get shifted to compete with Anthony Richardson for QB1? Why didn't he just stay in Minnesota? So apparently Anthony Richardson now has to compete for his job. I don't know. Maybe he wasn't good at it. I'm not really sure. When is somebody go compete with Trevor Lawrence? That's what I want to know. So that's what took place today in free agency. It was a bunch of people that I don't generally follow, but we were on here talking about Anthony Richardson because do y'all remember Coach Dre or somebody that was in the comments? I think he said he had trained Anthony Richardson at some point in high school or college. Well, he's not on here today, but Anthony Richardson came up and I was like, this is the guy he's talking about. And now, he has to compete for his job. So that's how free agency works. It says, I cannot wait for Pro Day so two can show up and show out. Oh, Pro Day is going to be massive. Pro Day at CU is going to be a sight to behold. I've seen that popped up in my feed. And he was starting his workout. Oh, I know what I did see with two guys that are trying to get to the NFL. So, okay, we have two guys that Justin Mayers and Cameron Silma-Craig, and they both posted photos with new cars, right? And I'm like, okay, my motto is don't spend no money you don't have, and definitely don't take a loan from somebody, promising that they're going to get you drafted. So apparently, I don't know if one is an endorsement or not, or what it is, but these two have popped up with new cars, and Justin Mayers basically put it out there that he signed with Young Money. So he was basically driving into Boulder and he was talking about Young Money, how long it's been around, who his agents are. It sounded like a little promo video. And then he goes to the dealership and he's talking to a guy and stuff like that. So I'm like, oh, okay. I don't know what to make of it. If it's a loan from like the dealership for promo, then I'm cool with it. But if this is some type of loan before you get drafted, see, that's what used to happen. I don't know whether y'all know it or not, but when Reggie Bush got his Heisman taken, it was said, and they said this happened to LeBron too. What happens is agents come to you, and before you get drafted, this was before NIL, but it seems to still be a thing. Before NIL, agents will come to you and want to represent you, and what they would do is flash that cash. They'll buy you a car. That's usually that's what you see. Suddenly you see somebody that's getting ready to get drafted, right? And you see them pull up in an Escalade or, I don't know, Maserati or some type of vehicle. And you like, man, that's nice. You ain't even get drafted yet. You know what they do, right? They give them loans. So I didn't give this to you. I'm going to front you a loan so you can get you a nice ride until you get drafted, and then you pay me back. And who knows what the interest is. You see, that's how they used to try to get their business. So when Reggie Bush got his Heisman taken, it was because supposedly an agent came to his mom and gave her some money or bought her a house or something. And Reggie Bush got knocked for it, or there was a car involved. I think LeBron, they said it was something about a Hummer. An agent gave him a Hummer. They tried to, I want y'all to know, y'all think Shedeur getting dragged? When LeBron was coming out of high school, go look at the coverage. Oh my God. Man, when he was in high school, when he was playing in high school, they loved him. When he got ready to come out of high school, if you think Shedeur is getting hated on, you have got to go watch the coverage of LeBron before his draft. How they set him up. A guy came up to him basically and was like, I got a gift for you. It was a jersey, a collectible item. They tried to knock LeBron for that, saying he was taking gifts from agents. He didn't even know who the man was. Savannah was with him. They were at a place like a Sonic, just getting food. Somebody come up to you saying, sign this or do this, and you thinking it's an autograph, and you don't even know what you to sign. So LeBron's hatred was about just as bad as Bronny's is. Just as bad as Bronny's is. And just as bad as Shedeur's. And this seems to happen all the time. And it's generally the media. But yeah, they tried to drag LeBron down as well. I forgot about that. But he was almost caught up. And maybe he was caught up because I think he got suspended for like a championship game or something. But he did get caught up in somebody trying to set him up. So that's why you have to be really careful out here when people walk up to you and ask you to sign something or say, hey, sign this for me. I have a gift for you. And they give you a jersey. You don't know what it is. You hadn't even looked at it yet. But somebody in the background is taking a picture, looking at you, accepting a gift from a person. And this was before NIL. So even with NIL, I'm seeing Justin Mayers, basically say who he signed with this nice Cadillac. I did see him at the dealership. I didn't listen to it. Then I turn around and I see Cameron Silver Craig with the same scenario, the watch, the car. And I say, I hope they're not taking loans. I hope they're not taking loans before they get drafted. Unless the agents have decided to gift them these things, even if they don't get drafted. So let's say I get drafted. No, let's say I get a tryout. Or I don't get drafted. I don't even get a tryout. What happens if they made you a loan? Do you have the money to pay this back? These are the kind of things that you have to be careful for. And I want y'all to know, we haven't seen anybody else in this scenario. Have y'all seen Jimmy Horn Jr.? Have y'all seen LeJounte? Y'all see anybody else in this situation? So I'm hoping and praying that these are gifts. And even if they don't get drafted, it's cool. I'm hoping. Let's see. They said the GM and coach are pivotal when it comes to selecting our quarterback. He's tied to them because they chose him, and that's what makes him so intricate. Okay, Kiel, thank you for that. Ms. Mel said, musical chairs are QBs in NFL. Yes. Somebody else called it that. I like the way you said that. I agree with that. I heard that. And again, you got to remember the media is putting words in people's mouths. I think I was reading like NFL.com, and they were talking about the whole Anthony Richardson, the Indianapolis Colts are supposed to be having an open competition for QB1. And then in a second paragraph, it was like, yeah, but there are a lot of people, like what Kiel is saying, who wanted Anthony Richardson to be drafted there. So they probably not in favor with that. So, I don't know. But, there's conversation out there saying that Justin Fields this is his year. He absolutely has to prove himself. My reply was, when is Trevor Lawrence going to have to prove himself? Y'all not seeing what's going on here? Who's getting devalued and moved to the Raiders and don't know if he QB1 or 2. Anthony Richardson has to compete because JJ McCarthy is going to be the starter in Minnesota, but now Anthony Richardson might not be. So Let's take Daniel Jones, who was already in Minnesota, and send him to compete with Anthony Richardson, and nobody has said Trevor Lawrence need to prove himself. And Daniel Jones was how in New York for how long and didn't prove himself? Are y'all not seeing what's going on here? Oh, and the Philadelphia Eagles are being, the term used is decimated. People being pulled left and right from the team. I guess it'll make it harder for them to go back to the Super Bowl unless, because they don't have an OC. They lost Kellen Moore. And then people that play for them are just going in different directions. I would think you wouldn't do that to a Super Bowl team, but that's what it seems to be happening. So Daniel Jones signed with the Colts today. Yeah, I saw that. I saw that. I like Justin Fields going to the Jets. I actually saw his highlights yesterday. People's complaint against him is that he uses his legs, but I heard people say he uses his legs and he has an arm. And what did I say yesterday? When it comes to free agency, the top 3 QBs by QBR rating, which takes into account everything, were Sam Darnold, Russell Wilson, and Justin Fields. At the bottom were Aaron Rodgers and who else? Kirk Cousins. But they want to act like if they trash Justin Fields, he shouldn't get an opportunity. But then when he gets an opportunity and they're shocked because their mouths all open at the same time, like, oh my God, I didn't know this was going to happen. I thought maybe Aaron Rodgers was going to get selected and then Justin Fields will sit behind Aaron Rodgers. I think that's what they thought. But now it seems that Justin Fields might be QB1 in New York with Tyrod Taylor behind him. So, yeah, they were on LeBron's neck back then. They sure were. It was terrible. I was like, oh my God. They loved him at first. And it's like they tried their best to keep him. And I think it might have worked out of one of the games where they were headed to state or something. But the same, and to me, it was worse with LeBron because I think they actually succeeded in trapping him some kind of way that he actually did get suspended for something, or he couldn't play this one particular game. I'm like, the lengths adults will go through to hurt a black child is insane. Hello, hey Regina. Hey Caroline, how you doing? Justin Mayer's got a new Cadillac Escalade and signed with Lil Wayne agency. Yep, that's what we were talking about. I'm hoping that this was a gift, meaning we want you to have this for choosing us, and even if you don't get drafted, you get to keep it. That's what I'm hoping this is. Because if it's a loan, and one of the things Justin Mayers was saying is that he liked his new, he talked about who his agents were. He said they have relationships with GMs and coaches. I'm like, okay. And it's true. They had soccer contracts. I saw that. They were small, but they had them. And, you know, I'm hoping that these are gifts. Because if neither of them are drafted, or, you know, they get drafted and get cut or something, it's just not going to be good. Yeah, I see what's going on with our QBs. Thank you, Regina. Thank you. It said Marshall Faulk in the building. Google him. Yes, I heard that. When he was speaking to the team, when all the coaches went to the front. That was that yesterday, I think. That might have been yesterday. Let's see. Miss Mel said they failed they talked about the Hummer for a long time. You talking about LeBron, right? Yeah, LeBron, let me see something right quick. They said something about somebody gifted him a Hummer and this, that, and the other, and his mama got a new house. Remember when Travis Hunter flipped from Florida State to Jackson State? They said his mama got $1 million, and Travis said, my mama still living in projects or something like that. Something to that nature. Which, that situation, now that we think about it, Sandy Springs, I don't think they have projects, but I don't know. Maybe he didn't say that. Maybe he said, my mama's still living in the same house that she lived in before. Anyway, so let me get LeBron James suspended in high school for something. Yeah, y'all talk about how they trash. Woo, You think Shedeur getting it bad? LeBron James had it really bad, and like I said, it's nothing they could get Shedeur on right now. LeBron was still in high school, and it's crazy how they went from loving him to hating him like that. But then when he left Cleveland, they were out here burning their jerseys. You see how that works? If you don't do what people want you to do, or end up where they want you to end up, here it is right here. As soon as I typed in LeBron James suspended high school came up. Basketball, LeBron James is ruled ineligible. This was in 2003, February 1st. Ineligible after taking gifts. It said LeBron, the country's most visible high school basketball star, was stripped of his remaining eligibility yesterday because he accepted 2 sports jerseys from a Cleveland clothing store. Remember I told you somebody walked up to him and was like, take this or whatever, or you just gave it to him or asked him to sign it or said you have it or whatever. And it was so fast. It was so fast. If you Google it, it's online. I'm sure it was a reenactment, and Savannah was right there. They were coming out of a restaurant. He just got ambushed. And it said the Ohio School Athletic Association ruled that James, a senior at St. Vincent St. Mary's High School in Akron, after everything he did for them, the whole city, kid from Akron, right, would not be able to play in his team's remaining 5 regular season games and in the state playoffs, which is why I think he was set up. The ruling also means St. Vincent St. Mary's must forfeit Sunday's victory over Akron Buckle, dropping its record to 13-1 instead of 14-0. The lengths that people will go through. That's what this is about. The decision came 4 days after James, who is expected to be the number 1 pick in the National Basketball Association draft in June, was cleared of any violations after receiving $50,000 sports utility vehicle from his mother. So all of that was in there together. So apparently she bought him a Hummer and he was cleared of that, but they tried to get him on the Hummer. And I guess they were counting her pockets and trying to figure out where she got the money from. But honestly, at that time, remember, they said, when does high school basketball end? December? I don't know if they played January, February. Mama, think about the timing, okay? They already knew he was going to be drafted in June. And honestly, Justin Mayers or Cameron Silver-Craig, depending on what they got on paper, could walk into a dealership. Well, for sure, Shedeur and Travis. Shedeur and Travis right now could walk into a Lamborghini dealership and walk out with it and not pay nothing on the strength of they are first round top 5 draft picks or even first round draft picks, or Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter, the Heisman candidates and the Heisman winner. That's how this works. So there are people out there who know this. So instead of you going and do it on your own, they'll come to you to try to get your business and facilitate and broker this deal for you, but you have to pay them back. See, that's what happened with, we just talked about him the other day, Adrian Peterson, how he took his sports memorabilia and people made him loans of like $5 million. Your sports memorabilia is not generally that expensive. But on the strength of he was Adrian Peterson, an NFL player, and maybe they thought he had more years in front of him, or maybe they were predators and they knew he didn't. They fronted him $5 million and he defaulted on it. So I would hate to see that for Cam or Justin Mayers. So I hope that these were gifts and not making any types of deals where I'm going to pay you back when I get drafted. Don't do that. So, if it happened to LeBron, you can't be surprised as to what's going on with the hatred that Shedeur was getting. And all of the talk is truly to downgrade his draft stock. And even with multiple people talking about it from all over, they're still at it. Basically trying to put it out there. This is dog whistle that the coach that drafts Shedeur Sanders could be risking his job. He could get fired. Excuse me? And why would that be the case? But remember, a long time analyst from one of these big box chains or some newspaper or whatever, some publication, Remember, he made the comment that Justin Fields was going to be a bust. That either Caleb was going to be good and Justin Fields was going to be bad, but they both weren't going to be good. And he chose Justin Fields to be good because Justin Fields went to Washington. So that's saying that Justin Fields didn't really have no talent, or he could go to Washington with all the talent in the world and still lose. And that's not the case. In fact, in free agency, Washington seems to be stocking up, and Philadelphia seems to be being depleted. So, and again, why would you trade the person who didn't hold up the line where CJ Stroud was concerned, allowing him to get sacked 52 times, remembering that Caleb Williams was sacked 65 times, and also remembering that Bryce Young was sacked 62 times. You see the pattern? Now, what did all three of them have in common? Caleb Williams, CJ Stroud, and Bryce Young. They started first year. It's conspiracy. I tell y'all. I wouldn't call it that, but it is definitely a setup. Definitely. On these young black starting quarterbacks. And now that the guy who apparently was an issue with the Texans is going to the Commanders where Jayden Daniels is. So should we be able to predict that Jayden Daniels is going to have problems next year, his sophomore year, like CJ Stroud did? And then Jalen Hurts' Super Bowl team is being picked apart. See? Did you see LeBron movie, Shooting Stars? I think, Caroline, I think that might have been the movie I saw. If that's where they had the scene with LeBron and Savannah when they were in high school dating, coming out of like a little diner. She had like a shake or something. And this guy just walks up to them, and LeBron he don't know what it is or whatever. And he takes it, and he's thinking it's nothing, and somebody's taking a picture of it. It was like just a big setup. Like, go give this to him, and I'm gonna take a picture of you, and we're gonna say he took a gift. But he didn't know what it was. Imagine you walking out of anywhere, a grocery store, the mall, your house, and somebody just walks up to you and hands you something and walk off. You either let it fall on the floor or you hold on to it. But when somebody's right positioned to take a photo, it was a setup. And they knew he was getting drafted. So what was the goal? So he didn't play in the state championship? So he couldn't have a 14-0 record, so he could go 13-1? Yes, I definitely see it. I don't believe that JJ McCarthy will live up to the type of he doesn't perform, and over the record the Vikings did have, then it's up for him. Hey, Sounds of Bliss, welcome back. Here's my thing. They were hyping him up at Michigan. I remember that, right? And I do think it's weird that it's not weird that Sam Darnold left. It's not. I don't know why he left, but it wasn't weird to me. I just felt like maybe he wanted to move on because JJ McCarthy was there. But to be honest with you, when you think about it, Sam Darnold could have stayed where he was because they had a really good season. His QBR rating is 100. So his move was about money, but I don't know why Minnesota wouldn't have gave it to him unless Sam Darnold saw the writing on the wall and that JJ McCarthy is going to be QB1 no matter what. That's the only thing that makes sense, because why wouldn't he get the money? Just like Josh Allen got $330 million. Why would Minnesota pay Sam Darnold $100 million? If they were number one in their conference or number two? They had a good record though. And then not only is Sam Darnold gone to Seattle and Geno shifted to the Raiders where Shedeur or Cam could go. And I told y'all about that stacking. Look who just got stacked and doubled up in New York with the Jets. Tyrod Taylor and Justin Fields. Y'all see it now, right? Are you seeing it? Are you seeing it? Remember, we talked about this. I read off a long comment that somebody took the time to explain. And I said it's a numbers game because this was the year that essentially if these guys are drafted, and it was about where they went, that they would dominate. But then when it comes to certain conferences, it was about who was dominating. And y'all saw what happened with what almost happened with this Lamar Jackson playing the Bills, and y'all saw how that went. Like, a lot of people felt like there was something going on there to keep Lamar Jackson out. And was it really about Lamar Jackson, or was it about he would have been the fourth black quarterback? And it went from 3-1 instead of 4-0, just like LeBron James in high school, a perfect record to 13-1. You see what I'm saying? Like, you can't act like you don't see this. And I'm not talking about y'all. I mean, period. Stephen A will never talk about it. Shannon Sharpe will never talk about it. None of these big box networks will never talk about it. In fact, they are the reason why you hear questions or you hear comments like, Justin Fields has to prove himself. This is his make or break year. How many years did Daniel Jones get to make or break it? Who backing up Trevor Lawrence that he competing with? But Anthony Richardson now has to compete. When Daniel Jones was just right there in Minnesota, and now they got to go get another quarterback because Sam Darnold has mysteriously moved over here to Seattle, where Geno Smith just left and just about to possibly double up with the Raiders. I read something on NFL.com that said nobody believes in this draft, this QB draft class. I was like, who is nobody? Who is nobody? Those are the kind of inclusive comments they make, as if they speak for people like me who feel like Shedeur and Cam and Will Howard and Jalen Milroe are good quarterbacks who should be the top 4. But our voices get drowned out. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and the like button. But that's what's happening, and they know it. They know it. So all of this doubling up, all of a sudden, this is why I think people were shocked when Justin Fields got out of Pittsburgh, because they expected Justin Fields to fall to number 2 with Aaron Rodgers in the front. So now with Justin Fields gone, people thinking because DK Metcalf came in that's going to be Russ. So you took 2 quarterbacks who were stacked together and you just spread them out. You just put them in 2 separate places. So now we have to hear about what happens with Russ officially. I felt like, honestly, at the end of the season when it came to Pittsburgh, my honest opinion, I said, I feel like, because people have questioned why Mike Tomlin would bench Justin Fields when he was 4-2. It's not like he was 2-4. He was 4-2. So it's kind of like the Jalen Hurts thing. You benching him too early. And they said that's why Aaron Glenn and I guess the GM and the Jets, it was like, let's get him. He has a good arm. He's good with his legs. He was 4-2. They just made a mistake and benched him too early. So if Daniel Jones got all of these years to prove himself, I don't understand why people think that these last 2 years or the last 2 years for Justin Fields. Like, he was just drafted. Like, what are y'all talking about? Other people get 6, 7, and 8 years and he doesn't. Not that he needs it. And it's funny how they say you go and revive your career when in fact you were playing at a terrible organization like Geno Smith, the Jets and the Giants, and the Chargers. You see what's happening. I hope y'all see what's happening here. It explains why out of all of the quarterbacks in the draft, they only dragging one. Because he's the best. That's all he was talked about. And when he was in college, how good he was. He didn't even have to prove himself. He had no choice because he was trying to win games. Even with half of an O-line, it still didn't stop him. That's why he became the most sought after quarterback. So all you hear is this negativity to try to drown that out. So hopefully he gets to the wrong team, and they do expect, especially what the media expects them to do, is not pay him well and not start him. It said, yeah, the Hummer was the talk all over ESPN. Yep. It's funny how, that happened, but he was cleared of that. But I don't think it mattered, honestly. I mean, what really more could have happened if right before that, because of the jerseys, he was already stripped of his eligibility, and they could have left his record intact. But the game that he had already won after they made that decision, they took that back too. So it's like they just tried to strip everything. But they already knew he was getting drafted, and they didn't care. They didn't care. They know Shedeur getting drafted. They know he getting drafted high, but they don't care. They just keep on relentlessly just dragging these players. It's just hatred. That's really what it is. And none of these people, even with Stephen A. making $100 million at ESPN, he's not going to talk about it. He's not going to talk about it. And I feel like, watch me segue, I feel like that's also one of the reasons why LeBron confronted Stephen A. I never told how I felt about that. And this is my thought about it. I posted somebody else's content on my page because they were talking about the people after Bronny. Bronny's doing better than them, so why don't they just leave Bronny alone? You know, it's not like he was drafted first. He was drafted 55th, 55. And this is what I ask anybody. This is how you know Bronny's being singled out. Just like Justin Fields is being singled out. Just like LeBron was singled out in high school. You think LeBron don't know, now that we're talking about this, what it feels like to be singled out? Yeah. And he don't want them doing his son the way that these adults did him. So, you know, essentially, my question to anybody is, who was drafted number 55 last year? Who was drafted number 55 the year before? The year before that, if you don't know, because most people don't know the 55th draft pick, then we should know about what's going on with Bronny. And it's not that his numbers are bad. They're doing the Bronny, what they did to his dad. And remember, what they did to his dad was a setup. What happened to Bronny? Remember, he had a cardiac event. So the fact that LeBron wasn't pushing for his son to go first, and he was cool with him going 55th, was why? Because he knew he had just had a cardiac event. It probably did take Bronny some time to get back to feeling comfortable again. DeMar Hamlin was out. He came back. He didn't even win comeback player of the year or whatever it was. That went to somebody else. And he had a cardiac event, and people thought he actually had died on that field, and they resuscitated him. And he still didn't win the player that comes back from the injury last year. It was not this year, last year. So, you know, the game that we like to see our guys play, because that's the only way I'm going to have to say it, is riddled with hatred towards the guys that they don't want to make it. And I don't think it's a coincidence that Caleb Williams, in fact, I know it's not. I told y'all that was my theory, that Caleb Williams, what's his name down in Carolina, Bryce Young, and CJ Stroud all started, and then look how they were sacked. And then Justin Fields was in Chicago going through the same thing. They trashing him, sending him to Pittsburgh. They did not expect Justin Fields to leave that organization and get the contract he got, which is $30 million out of 40 guaranteed, and be the potential starter. And I do feel like Mike Tomlin was under pressure last year to get rid of Russ and to get rid of Justin Fields. Honestly, because I said it was a numbers game. And if what I said was true, and that other people know is true, if with the guys that's coming in this year, it changes who the majority is. Well, if Russ and Justin Fields are gone, so to me, I feel like that's why they were we know they were hating on Russ because of the collusion case. And remember, the collusion was about teams conspiring against veteran QBs, but there were only 2 QBs, I think I recall, named in the collusion suit that the Player Association of Players won. I feel like the other one, and Justin Fields couldn't have been the other one because he's just now a veteran. So I don't know who the person was besides Russ, but I do feel like that is why they were trying to negate Justin Fields, because he came in and was a starter, and they don't want that. And then he's a dual threat quarterback, just like the other 3 that I mentioned. I told y'all there's some kind of assault on these guys. And I told y'all, when people like Jalen Hurts, how, you know, you see Josh Allen with a $330 million contract, right? Well, it changes it affects their money. Stewart getting dropped down to 21 affects his money, even though he has money, but I think that's why they're trying to push him down. We don't know what's going to happen with Cam. So I think Ronnie Rivers came to the comments and said she feel like the Giants are trying to get him. Kiel, let me know if you heard anything like that. Tennessee trading this pick plays into it because I don't draft any of them from Colorado, number one. I don't draft any of these QBs, Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders, number one. Number two is the Browns, and people expect that they can't do it. And now that Kenny Pickett mysteriously leaves a Super Bowl winning team and goes to the Browns, you see what I'm saying? Guess who's going to end up possibly in Philadelphia? Jalen Milroe. There's that stacking again. There's the stacking again. Instead of them being all on teams, they're being doubled up. So that's what I see happening with the guys. And I hate it, but I support the guys, but I don't know how to maintain, how to look at this knowing what they're doing. I just have to know that God knows too. That's the only way to do it. It said all of that stuff was in the movie. Yep, it was. It was, Caroline. So that was the movie that I watched. I might watch it again tonight. I might watch it again. You never know. I might have missed something. It said, don't forget about the $90 million Nike contract LeBron signed too. Them folks was mad about that. Oh, yeah, I did. I forgot totally about his Nike contract. Oh, but guess what I did notice? Who paired up with Jordan Brand. So y'all know Bill Belichick is the coach at UNC. And I saw some content where they have their players practicing and they were all proud because no one has their names and jerseys on the back. Now y'all know Belichick and Coach Prime are friends, right? So they're practicing old school. You know how a long time ago they didn't have names and numbers and jerseys on the back. So that's what UNC was doing. So when the clip ended, I saw Jordan Brand logo times UNC. I'm like, oh, okay. So they got Jordans. And I don't know if y'all know it, but Jimmy Horn Jr. Has Jordan cleats. And when he worked out at the combine, I've seen him in the Jordan cleats before. But when he worked out at the combine, I think he had on his Jordan cleats. So that's who's sponsoring UNC. Not Nike, Jordan. And then, Michael Jordan went to UNC. And I thought I saw Michael Jordan on the field at one of the practices. But that was either Emmitt Smith or somebody else. But I did think it was Michael Jordan. So, but he probably going to pop up. So now people are saying UNC is a football school. I'm like, okay, because, they're known for basketball. So, we'll keep an eye out. Maybe we can get a friendly rivalry in here with a Pop-Tart Bowl. Or better yet, the college football playoffs, Coach Prime versus Belichick, because they are friends. So I think that would be kind of cool. Gracie said, Travis' mom never lived in the projects in his high school, was middle and upper class neighborhoods. So yeah, that's why I was like, thinking about that. I was like, well, I don't know. But I remember when Travis was, when he flipped, they were essentially saying that he was paid $1 million. And his comment was, where? Because my mama still lives. And I thought that's what he said. But even if she lived in Sandy Springs, I mean, not Sandy Springs, but what is it? Smyrna, I don't see that comment. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I'm going to walk away from that one because that was kind of weird. But I don't think he got paid. But FSU was essentially trying to disparage Travis after he flipped. Isn't that something? A kid wants to go to a different school and you're going to try to say that he took something he shouldn't have. Something else, man. It said, do you think Justin Mayers will even get drafted? I really hope he does, but I'm not sure he will. I'm going to say this. I didn't know he was declaring for the draft. And our O-line on his side wasn't all that great. Remember, I did several videos about this. But he was a standout at the Hula Bowl. I don't know. I think that's why I'm like, he's one of those you don't really know unless somebody told him so. And Shiloh Sanders didn't even get an invite to the combine. Neither did he. And Coach Prime got all those guys to the Hula Bowl. So I don't know. I don't think it was a good move to make. But if we want to know, just look at Coach Prime's. What does he say? Every day he drops the daily, the morning word or something like that. I'm gonna go back and look at it 2 days ago because he probably knew about this before we did, and I'm gonna look at it 2 days from now. And if he says anything about something similar to it, then that's gonna be the answer because he's been known to do that multiple times. So I'm gonna keep an eye out. But I don't. Here's what I would say. Okay, his family seems instrumental in his life. I wouldn't have done that, and let me tell you why. Do you see anybody else doing it? No. Why? Because you don't need an agent. First of all, let's be clear. If he gets drafted, how high y'all think he going? Drop the number in the comments. What round do you think he's getting drafted? And then we're gonna take the conversation from there. If you say 7, 6, 5, remember we talked about the salaries of players. That's essentially a tryout, and you have to make the team and survive not 1 but 2 cuts. I wouldn't have done it. And see, I'm the kind of person, I'm like this. This is me. If I'm in this situation, for one, it's enticing them because they're getting ready to pay somebody to do what? Something that you don't need. You know what I'm saying? Now, if you want these guys to try to get you from 7 to 6 and you willing to give them 3, 4, 2, 5% or whatever, plus the money back for the vehicle, plus the interest for the loan, unless it was a flat out 100% free gift that you might have to claim on your taxes. I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't have done it. I would have been like, you know what? Let me just, because see, he didn't get invited to the combine either. Now, he did mention that there is a pro day in Dallas at the Star. So he's going to that, I think. And then he mentioned the CU pro day, which he's working out at CU. If you notice, a lot of other people like Chidozie, they're working out elsewhere, which means they're paying for that. So I wouldn't have done it. I wouldn't advise my son to do it. I would be like, look, just get drafted first to see where you're going to land. And then to know what kind of money you're going to get when you get paid. And remember, you got to pay taxes on top of that. But I'm pretty sure if I look it up, he might be an undrafted free agent. And while that's not always the case, even Tyreek Hill went from undrafted free agent to what, the 5th round? So I think some people say they think Jimmy going 3rd or 4th, and he kind of knows he's going 3rd or 4th because he said something about starting on special teams, which means he's not going 1st or 2nd. So if Jimmy Horn Jr., who they told don't worry about it, we saw enough, we know you good, is going 3rd or 4th, I'm gonna go with 5th or 6th or 7th or undrafted free agent. And I just think that because Xavier Weaver, he lived very modestly. If y'all notice, Xavier Weaver didn't go out and do none of that. I think he got him a spot to live because you need somewhere to live. It was a townhouse, it was nice. I don't think he indulged like that because he probably knew he got to try to make it, and he did make it. Because I watch his channel because I think for Thanksgiving he was cooking, so I was watching that kind of stuff. He hanging out with the guys. I don't remember any flashy jewelry, anything like that. His place was nice. It wasn't opulent. It looked like I need somewhere to live. I'm stacking my bread. I don't know how long I'm gonna be here. To me, that's how Xavier Weaver was moving. Even when he come to Colorado, he not dressed in the Louis and the Gucci. He just had on some nice tracksuit. Because he got to try to make it again. Because he was injured all last year. And what did I say? These guys, if they make it to 26, 27 in age, with that 4-year contract, sometimes that's it. So, and the fact that it's the 2 of them, and the 2 of them signed with the same agency that neither one of them need unless they can bump them up. I don't know. It's concerning. It raises an eyebrow because, are you being suckered? Are you being hoodwinked, bamboozled? Is somebody selling you something so you ultimately are on the hook, just like Adrian Peterson was? I'm going to give this to you knowing you can't pay it back, and then you're going to default, and then you're going to owe me more interest. Because usually when you default on a loan, the interest is higher. So I don't know everything, but I know since it's the two of them, I do kind of look sideways, and that makes you wonder. I haven't seen Travis with nothing. I mean, he don't really need nothing, and that's another conversation. If you need it, they gonna offer it to you, and it's gonna probably make you jump. So it says that's what I was thinking, Regina. I hope he does too, him and Cam. I hope they do, but I don't know. I think it would have been one of those things that you kind of wanna wait and see. Unless somebody told you something. And maybe somebody told him something. You're right. He could have stayed. Yeah. You talking about Sam Darnold? That was absolutely no reason for him to move. And now it just feels like an attack on Anthony Richardson. It just does. Cameron Silver Craig. Okay, yeah, facts. It said the Deion Sanders effectively don't like him, so they go after his son. Yeah, that's facts. That's facts. That's facts. But I think they go after them, yeah, because they Coach Prime's kids. I will agree with that. Thank you for that, Miss Mells. It says, Sweet Caroline, it says, ESPN take a story and run. Oh, okay. ESPN had already convicted him guilty. Xavier Worthy. The media is ruthless. Yes, the media is ruthless. It is ruthless. I was thinking on this show, I think Kiel provided us with some information that he saw where the guy had a camera in his home. So by the time we wrapped up, we knew the charges weren't being filed. He had been to jail, but they let him go because she had made some extortionist comments, and she looked crazy out here. I didn't watch anything else, but the same content creators that were going, not the exact same, but some of the same content creators that were speaking on Travis Hunter's situation, afterwards, rightfully so. But in this case, they just did the same. They just obliterated this woman. So I don't know who she is. They say she tried to set him up, yada, yada, yada. They kept calling her his girlfriend, but that actually was his fiance. And again, do not get married. So if I don't want you to get married before the second half of your sophomore, what do you call it? Sophomore year, your second year in the NFL, do you really think I want you out here taking loans for vehicles on the prospect that you gonna get drafted and you don't know where for sure? Remember, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago. Jerry Rice's son. Y'all remember when I talked about how Jerry Rice was upset because why? And I told y'all these guys know where they're going. What did I say? Jerry Rice was told, led to believe that his son would be drafted in the third round. Remember, his son was number 2 from Colorado, left Colorado and went to USC. And what happened? He was drafted dead last. So this is one of those scenarios that Justin and Cam could find themselves in, because even the great Jerry Rice was told third round and he was dead last. Now that's saying a lot, right? That's saying a lot. That's why I felt like when Coach Prime said about Shiloh, it wasn't a knock on Shiloh. It's making more sense now. Shiloh is going to have to work his butt off for him to get where he wants to be. And he said he didn't know what round that was going to be. And now you see why. They trashing Shedeur. So you think they ain't going to trash Shiloh? They left him out completely. And with me being the kind of person I am, if I was Cam or Justin, and I saw that, I don't want nothing, because this might not go like I think. And if Jerry Rice got told third round and his son went dead last, I'm telling you, this business, it seems a little cutthroat to me. It seems a little cutthroat. And you take somebody like Anthony Richardson, who was drafted overall number 4, and they take Daniel Jones, and give him a 1-year contract for the sole purposes that he could come compete with Anthony Richardson. Why he don't go compete with Trevor Lawrence? Anybody have any idea? You know what I'm saying? You see them trying to build up Aaron Rodgers and tear down Shedeur Sanders all in the same breath. You see what I'm saying? Y'all, I know y'all seeing this, right? I know y'all seeing this. And it took, when I talked about the QBR ratings on our show a day or two ago, probably yesterday, because we were talking about free agency, and I pointed out that they claim that Aaron Rodgers is the second veteran worth his salt that should be placed on a team, right? And I pointed out when we were talking, I said the QBR rating top 3 is Sam Darnold, Russell Wilson, and Justin Fields. And you see how they try to construe and use the metric that they want to use? Who cares who threw the most yards if your QBR rating, which measures everything, is a 55? Come on now. And they know this. They just think we all dumb, or we just gonna do whatever, or they have the power to do whatever. And if they all talk nonstop, incessantly to drag somebody down, that they're eventually gonna be dragged down. That's what they really feel. That's what they really believe. But they tried it with Justin Fields, and he escaped and went to the Jets. So, I expect Shedeur to escape. I don't know, but moving Kenny Pickett when he was perfectly fine in Philadelphia behind Jalen Hurts, and they could possibly repeat, and they move him to the Browns. So there you go. It says, I was thinking the same thing. The side of the O-line wasn't good. It wasn't. It really wasn't. And I know I looked him up. When I think one time we were talking about, remember we did like a mock draft +1, and we said who should go with Shedeur? Chidozie. Okay, let me tell you what it was. Of course, it's Travis and Shedeur, right? Chidozie was the only other Colorado Buffalo. Not Shiloh, not Cam, not Mayers, not Bentley, not Green, not Cokes. Chidozie was the only other person mentioned that the Raiders were looking at his potential. I don't see Chidozie with a new vehicle. Chidozie driving around whatever he was driving around with before. Him and his family live in the same house. What I'm saying is, it's only 2 people that have done these things. I don't even think Shedeur bought another car. Not that he can't. Travis didn't buy nothing else. Maybe he bought a house, but he's going to buy it anyway. You know what I'm saying? So if he did, I don't know if he did or not, but if he did, it wouldn't surprise me because he had $6 million. He said he didn't have $2 million in his bank account, but his valuation was $6 million. So I think when he signed that Adidas contract, he got like a big lump sum of money. So nobody else did that. And those 2 are with the same agency. Drafted in the first round, drafted in the last round. That's what you think too. And that's not, let me see something. I know the league has a minimum salary, but let's see. NFL salary by round. I had it saved. I might have, knowing me, I'm efficient. I probably deleted it because I have a lot of content on my devices. Let's see, NFL salary. Oh, shoot. So yeah, I would have done that, and I hate that they did that. Remember, this is a scale. All right, here we go. Let's just go ahead on and start from the top. The rookie scale. What year is this? 2025 rookie scale. Okay. Make sure we're reading the most up-to-date information. Remember, here we go. Pick 1 is now $43 million. Now, remember, I said Caleb Williams was the highest paid person last year, and he was 39. I said, okay. I said, that means this year it's going to hit 40. So it actually exceeded 40. NFL rookie scale. Let me figure out what I'm reading. Okay, Sport Track. All right. So before, this wasn't out here, but now after the combine, it's out here. So pick 1 is $43 million, $10,000, right? And again, the payout is progressive. You get $7 million year 1. Year 2, you get $9 million. Year 3, you get $11 million. And year 4, you get $13 million. So there are players who was a QB like Josh Rosen, picked pretty high in the first round, I think ended up with maybe quite a bit of money, 26 million. I think he's out the league. So after his 4 year, that was it. Unless he had a 5th year option. And remember, there is no 5th-year option. So let's go with whoever's the first pick in the draft is $43 million salary. They trying to drop, what did we say? They trying to drop Shedeur down. I told y'all it's messing with money. The 21st pick, which was supposed to be Pittsburgh, or the 20th pick, which they have proclaimed as of this week, he would only make $16 million. So this is what I mean by when they try to downgrade these guys, they're messing with their money. When you cheat Lamar Jackson out of MVP and you give Josh Allen $330 million, I'm assuming, he ain't been to the Super Bowl yet, but maybe if Lamar get there, maybe. But then you see them decimating Philadelphia and hope they don't get back there. They try to outlaw the tush push. So it seems to be a whole lot at play, to keep Philadelphia from getting back there. And conversely, also, they pretty much inquired with the guy that dates Taylor Swift. They had pretty much gave him an option if he want to come back or not. Whereas DeAndre Hopkins is, hasn't been picked up yet, unless he got picked up today. You see what I'm saying? How it goes, number 87, everybody talked about how terrible he played. Kelsey, that's his last name? Yeah, number 87. How terrible he played, he should retire. They basically was like, so what you want to do? But then DeAndre Hopkins, they're like, well, his career's not over yet, but he out here with nowhere to go. So, let's go to, what pick is let's just go to the last pick. That way we'll kind of have an idea what round we're in. Okay, so the last pick this year, or every year, is pick 257. So if somebody tell you you're going to be drafted dead last, your contract is $4 million, 4288261. Okay, the last round I think is the 7th round. I don't know if pick 256 is in the 7th round or not, but every year you get paid $862,000 year one, 1 million year two, 1.1 million year 3, and 1.2 million year 4. So now if somebody came along and told them that's where they're gonna get picked, I could get you in the to pick 250 to 256, then that's why they did it. But is that true? It didn't work out for Jerry Rice, and we know he's a legend. So I wouldn't have done it. But I feel like that could be the case, that somebody is basically saying to them, hey, I can get you bumped up from an undrafted free agent to the last few picks in the last round or the last round. That's what I think. Shiloh and Shedeur have yet to get an agent. They don't need an agent. Their dad is the best agent. Actually, most of them. Let me tell you who needs an agent. Somebody like Jalen Milroe, who could second round potentially be bumped up to the first, who has to negate a whole lot of everything you heard about Jalen Milroe, who has relationships. So I was feeling, Mayors, when he was saying, yeah, these guys have relationships with GMs and coaches. Now, I don't know how he knows this. I know that's what he believes. And that is very possible. But I don't know if that means that those relationships are going to be like, this my sister's, my wife's brother, and he going to go ahead on and he going to draft you number 255. I don't know if that's the kind of relationship, or if it's one of those where they know who you are, and maybe I don't know if they're going to stop and take a meeting from them. You know what I'm saying? I can get a meeting with people, but not everybody. So it just depends on the strength of the relationship. And maybe that's why he believes that, it's cool to make this move, because these guys are solid and they can get me in here. But was it last year? Wasn't Xavier Weaver an undrafted free agent? They don't even think Shiloh is going in the 7th round. They think Shiloh is an undrafted free agent. They think everybody other than Travis and Shedeur from Colorado. I promise you, that's what they think. Everybody from Colorado that's not Travis and Shedeur are going undrafted free agent. There are people who don't even believe Shiloh gonna be in the league. I'm like, y'all don't even think he would get a tryout? Come on now. Probably will be on the practice squad. Now, Okay, and on the practice squad, I think they made between 10 and 12,000 a month. Again, I would have just waited to find out if that's the case. It could be, because remember, we do have a guy who I think is still. Let me see if he's still on the practice squad. And Coach Prime brought him in. Remember, on Zoom, he brought the call in. Derek McClendon, remember him, y'all? Miami. And Coach Prime said, how do they practice? Because Coach Prime is always trying to show the guys that you have to practice like it's a game. And that's exactly what McClendon said. When he was talking about Tyreek Hill and the others, he said they practice like it's a game. Let me see if he's still there. Let's see. Derek McClendon. Let's see if he's still. Derek McClendon, he is still with Miami. Yep, he's still there, guys. So he's still there. Now I don't know if he did something like that. I'm thinking the guys last year, I didn't get the impression that they did that sort of thing. But like I said, I do think that it is very interesting that it's those two. It's not anybody else. I don't see anybody else. Have y'all seen LeJounte? I think he's supposed to be at Pro Day, but remember I told y'all he sent a thank you to Bucky, thanking him for everything. So I guess he must be maybe working out somewhere else. And with that being the case, they're not going to see each other until Pro Day. That's what I'm getting from it. So he said the agents were well known globally with great connections in NFL, so maybe he knows something we don't. Yep, we just gonna have to take it as that. I still wouldn't have done it, but I'm gonna have to. I don't know how you know that, but I'm gonna have to go ahead on and just hope for the best, because we don't want it to be what it is. But you have to always, in these types of situations, when you have no ability to prove these sorts of things, just because you did soccer don't mean NFL. The agent Nicole Lynn, she wants to move over to the NBA, but you can see her people are in the NFL still, because that's not easy. That's not an easy road. So I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm not saying he's not getting drafted. I'm not saying he's not getting on a practice squad. I'm saying because you're not Travis or Shedeur, and people like Jerry Rice thought third round and dead last, or undrafted free agent, or whatever you want to call it. You just got to err on the side of caution and just wait, because why? The draft is coming up now. So if these aren't loaner cars, if these aren't gifts, you know what I'm saying? And people are like, I can get your stock up. You want to pay that 4% out of the 4 million. I'm sorry, the 800,000. And I don't know if they want their 3 or 4% the way you get paid, or they want it off the top. I don't know. I just wouldn't have did it. I'm just gonna be honest. It's not necessary. You gotta wait sometimes, because you don't know how these things are gonna turn out. Jerry Rice, to me, is one of the best examples. And the way they doing, Shiloh, and I don't know. It said they really need. Who really need to what? They really need to sit Aaron Rodgers down. He's past his prime. I agree. Somebody said the best place for him was either on the couch at home or Pat McAfee show. So yeah, I agree with that. So yeah, while we wish the best for everybody, we've said we want all of our guys to get drafted. We don't know how this is gonna go. Now, I do believe last year we went 4-8, and Coach Prime, in my opinion, Coach Prime was successful at getting four guys into the NFL as walk-ons. Let me see how much walk-on makes. How much walk-ons make. Walk-ons in the NFL. Let's see how much they make. There's no concept of a walk-on in the NFL because it's a professional league, not a college football team, and all players are contracted. The minimum salary for a rookie on the 53-man roster is $795,000 in college football. So NFL salary, if you on a 53-man roster, it's $795. So I don't know what it is if you don't make it I don't know how they do that. Kiel, we're gonna need his experience. If he's still online, we're gonna need Kiel to basically pretty much tell us how that works, because honestly, I don't have a clue. It said they really need Aaron Rodgers to sit down. Yeah, so we wish the guys well. But when I see two people who have signed with this one particular agency that people already feel like it's like a game to some people, it does raise cause for concern, and it makes you feel like you should have erred on the side of caution, right? So we shall see. We shall see. All right, I guess we're gonna get out of here because we are 1 hour and 33 minutes in, and yeah, I'm gonna go with you, Regina. Probably will make the practice squad. So that's what we thinking. And I feel like if that's not something going through Coach Prime, that the relationships of the agents is something that can be done. So, all right. Well, we wish everybody well. We'll be back tomorrow with more free agency news and more Colorado Buffs update. I might see what's going on with UNC. If it come my way, I'll share it. Just like the other day, I didn't go look for it. It came to me. So if that continues to happen, I guess I'll share what I find out as well. All right, y'all. So we're going to get out of here. Thank y'all for hanging out with what she said. Have a great night, everybody.